with the NEC BMW up to 17th now. O'Brien and Graham with the Everlast Commodore in 18th. 19th, Jones and Jansen, and 20th, Needsvitz and Hansford.
21st position, rain on the windscreen there. McColl and Gazard in the Commodore. Position 22, the Bargwana boys in the Corolla leading their class. Position 23, Verheyen and Full also in a Corolla. Then car 70, Bates and Bates, third in their class. O'Brien and Brabham, the car number 9, Synovus in 25th position. Car 42 rather, in 26th position, Moore and Gardner. 27th is Brock and Reuter. 28th, Easton and Stratton. Car 29, Dunford and Wright in the Corolla. And car 30, Gardner and Conway also in a Corolla.
Position 31 is Murphy and Barnes in the Corolla, then Burke and Carling's Toyota Supra. The rare Talbot Corolla is in 33rd. 34th is Matthews and Newton. 35th, Seaton and Jones. That car is out, and so too most of the other vehicles behind, including Binding and Tyndall, Dillman and Cotter, Holden and Jones, Kerr and Watson. That still continues, but it's trying to pick up the gaps left by the other cars that have dropped out. Reed and Ashby are out. We're back to 41st, 42nd, Hopwood and Boss and Jack English and Lamont on 43. Morris and the late Denny Holm 44th. 45th is Wilmington and Watkinson. And rounding off the field, Sala and Weeks in the Ford Sierra, one of the first out, and the first out was 47.8, Bond and Smith in the Caltex Sierra. That's the complete field, how they run in the Tui's 1000 from Bathurst.
Good afternoon. A Kent Town timber factory has gone up in flames, the spectacular fire causing $250,000 damage. The deliberately lit blaze was fuelled by pine planks and boxes in the factory and took fire crews an hour to gain the upper hand. And outgoing Victorian Premier Joan Kerner has announced she'll remain as leader of the Victorian Labor Party, defeated in yesterday's poll. Full details at 6.
Nobody knows Adelaide like 7.
59 four-wheel drives took part in the 1992 Australian Safari. 58 of them ate dust all the way. Only one didn't. Patrol. From Nissan. The new Nissan.
You might think tires are pretty boring, but if you had to land a Harrier jet on an aircraft carrier 338 meters long, you might think differently about the tires you wear. Little wonder then why the U.S. Navy chose to fit Dunlop tires to their Harrier jets. So keep your family safe. Stick with Dunlop, the world's best road-holding tires.
Look what Huggies nappies have developed now. A complete range of custom-designed nappies. For newborns, there's a nappy for their special needs. Infants are looked after like never before with a special new in-between size. There's a Huggies for crawlers and for toddlers, even extra-large toddlers. In fact, Huggies are now designed to fit every stage of baby's development. New Huggies keep baby drier.
If you'd like to win $5,000 or a Toyota MR2, you don't have to go in a race. Just go into your Caltex station 5 times and fill up with Caltex Tetron Unleaded. During the Caltex Take 5 cash cleaner. Hang on a minute. After 5 tankfuls of Tetron, you'll find your fuel intake system clean, your car running smoother, and you're in the running for $5,000 plus a brand new Toyota MR2. Just like that one. Entries close October 31st, so you better get a move on.
There's one work truck that's got enough up front to leave everything else way behind. On the road and on the track. The 2.4 fuel-injected Navara from Nissan, the new Nissan.
When it comes to racing, Bathurst is pretty fast. And Formula One is even faster. That's why we use motor racing as one of the testing grounds for our oils. Because to be lubrication specialists, you have to be in the fast lane.
Buried in the past lies a secret that could change a boy's life forever. Will a custody battle unearth a family murder in the heat of the night, Tuesday?
Welcome back. 6 hours gone in the great race. Only the fittest survive. They've been out there in all sorts of conditions for over 130 laps now. And unfortunately, the Bates twins, either Neil or Rick there, had a bit of trouble with the conditions, and they're not one of the fittest. They will not survive. Back in the pits, leader of the opposition, politically speaking at least, John Hewson, was hard at work for the Playscape Sierra team. Good stop for them. Soon after, the number 2 Nissan pitted with Neil Crompton taking over for Anders Olofsson. They were in 3rd spot at that stage. Then Jim Richard had an interesting encounter here with Race Cam, when his fire extinguisher started to spit at some sort of an imaginary fire there. Perhaps it was warning him that the rain was about to come back. It did threaten, but so far it's held off, and they're racing in fine conditions as they head towards the 7th hour and the checkered flag.
Holden is back on the mountain, and they are back with a vengeance. The Chevy engine V8. Alan Grice, Win Percy, car number 16, the Holden Racing Team in 5th position at the present time. This car has run hot and strong all day. But I'll tell you what, I don't know how much longer this will continue, because those ugly storm clouds are regathering overhead, and it might be time to take a look at a mountain memory of '87, which was our last race under these kind of conditions.
1987, and Aussies captivated audiences in many theatres of endeavour. Kylie Minogue took Locomotion to number 1. Pat Cash finally cracked the jackpot at Wimbledon. And Wollongong's Wayne Gardner raced to the World 500 motorcycle crown. Bathurst became a round of the World Touring Car title, and the Europeans arrived en masse, attracting more protesters than the Daintree Forest. The black and red Eggenberger Sierras dominated the race, though Brocky won the hearts of everyone with his gutsy wet weather Nureyevac. And when FISA threw out the Eggenberger cars for illegal wheel arches, Peter Perfect was declared the winner. Somehow, justice had been done.
Yes, and as I said, the ugly storm clouds that marred the end of the race that day, 1987, are back again. We've had one spell of wet through the middle part of the day here, or the late part of the morning and early afternoon, in which drivers, by their own admission, experienced the worst conditions, not just here at Mount Panorama, but in the case of many of the more experienced drivers anywhere that they've ever driven in the world. Andrew Miedeke, now at the wheel of car 55, has got the belt done up, I don't think.
No, that was his drink.
Was it? Oh, okay. I was grabbing at his shoulder.
Just before you escape the subject of the weather, Gary, the chopper pilots have told us that there's more hail in Orange, and that hail is moving this way.
Car 55 in 7th position. We just saw it rejoin the race with Andrew Miedeke at the wheel. Car 35, the Peter Jackson Sierra entry. The badly banged up Peter Jackson Sierra entry. Wayne Park in 8th position as they rejoin the race. David Parsons, yes, it is David Parsons at the wheel now. Former driver with the Peter Brock team some years back. Dick Johnson, just a little brake lock up there as he comes out of Forest Elbow in 2nd position as he lines up on Subaru Conrod Straight, and pushing very hard, but unable to bridge the gap at this stage on the front-running Nissan of Jim Richards. And,
I think Johnson. I was going to say, Gary, I think Johnson's contribution to this race has been outstanding this week. I know a lot of people have had huge raps on Johnny Bouth, figuring that Dick was, you know, sort of in the twilight of his career. And that lap he pulled yesterday was just sensational. It took a lot of guts for the team owner to say, no, sit it out, kid, I'll go out and give this one good shot, which he did. And he's done brilliantly here today. A lot of people thought that JB would be in it for the start of the race. He's been on a fitness kick for about 3 or 4 months. And it really shows.
Yeah, more than 3 or 4 months, actually. About 2 years ago now, Dick could see that youth was overhauling him. Younger drivers were coming up. His position at the top was going to be under threat. And the only way to forestall that was to get into a strong fitness campaign. He's got a gym at his house. He works out every day. He swims every morning. He's up at the crack of dawn. So even here in Bathurst, he's up every morning down at the pool at the local RSL club here in Bathurst. And he is a lot fitter today than he was 2 years ago.
No, he's done a great job here at Bathurst this week. 48 years of age. Comes from Daisy Hill in Brisbane, Queensland Touring Car champ. 9 times Australian touring car champion, won that national title 81, 82, 84, 88 and 89. He, of course, has won 2 Bathurst 1000s and 81, the accident-shortened event, and, of course, 89 in the Shell Sierra. This is his 19th start at Bathurst. And the man who'll be stepping into one of the Ford Falcon EB V8s for season 93, running 2 Falcons for next season. And looking forward to it as Alan Grice into the pit, steps out of the 16 car, and Wyn Percy about ready to step in, and Andy's down there.
Luckily, it's John.
Okay, John.
Yes, great driver change and tyre change. Interesting that they would do it now. The weather closing in, you would have thought they may have tried to hold out a few extra laps to see if the rain started to come. But perhaps they just pushed it to the point where they needed to make the change anyway. Whatever it is, it's only a short stop for them, 24 seconds, so they'll be pretty happy with that.
Football, meat pies, kangaroos and Chevy engines. 16 was position 5. Rejoining the race now. There's the team lining up.
18 move aside as Dick comes down the outside. They come around the turn. Actually, Dick has been making some inroads at Mark Scaife's lead over the past couple of laps. In one lap, he pulled about 4 seconds. The next lap, it was 1 second, so we weren't quite sure whether or not Mark was held up in traffic. But Johnny Bow, car number 17, who is paired with Dick Johnson, will be delighted with where they're standing. You got a bit of a smile on your face, JB.
Well, it's a long way to go yet, Mike, but the car is the most perfect car I've ever driven in a long-distance race. It's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it at all, and I hope it just keeps going that way. And I'd hate to wish Freddie Gibson's team any ill win, but, you know, if something happened to it, I wouldn't be sorry.
Oh, terrific. I see he's just ripped off a quickie, 2:17.72. That's not too bad. The storm clouds are rolling in. About the last thing you really need is more rain with those four-wheel drives, isn't it?
Well, it is. The bit I did 38 laps in the rain earlier, and it was absolutely frightening, the most frightening experience I've ever had in 20 years of motor racing, so I'm glad Dick's in the car if it's going to rain again.
You told me on the media day here at Bathurst you weren't really looking forward to another start at Bathurst in a turbocharged Sierra. You couldn't wait for the V8 to come. Still hold that idea?
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, the car has just been so good, though. I couldn't speak badly of it, but... you know, it'd be nice to drive a V8, particularly if it ever rains again, because the Sierra is very, very sudden on the throttle, for want of a better term, and, you know, it's not a nice experience in the wet.
Well, Scaife's got a 58-second break at this stage over Dick, and Dick has been carving a little piece at a time into that. We can only hope it stays fine. I think fine would suit you better than wet.
Well, you could say that again. 58 seconds is, you know, it's a long way, but, you know, they've only got to have a little problem and we'll be there. So obviously the car's healthy if Dick's still doing 17, so, you know, I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Okay, we'll keep them crossed for you too. Thanks for the chat, John.
Thanks, Mike.
Very nice young man, Johnny Bow. I thought was one of the stars of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship this year.
He told me earlier, you know, Mike, that Dickie Johnston was really anxious when he went out yesterday and pulled that 12 off. To give the finger to the people who were saying he was a show pony for letting Johnny Bow do all the work and then getting in to drive it when the cameras were on.
Well, we know that was a little different. There goes Dick.
He'll overhaul Larry Perkins here as Perkins comes out of the pits in position 10. They've had an awful lot of trouble in the 11 Commodore, Bob Jane T-March Commodore.
Dick's not mucking around, is he?
No.
Straight up the inside will take split times. Richards and Scaife lead. That's the gap, 58 seconds, 58.464 to the Johnson Bow car. Third is Neil Crompton in the Winfield Nissan GTR. Fourth, the Longhurst Chicotto, Benson and Hedges BMW. And fifth, number 16, Purse and Gricey in the HRT Commodore VP. Stick around, we'll be back in a moment.
When I buy a van, it has to deliver. And I mean deliver. This Mitsubishi Express does it better than ever. It's got tons of power, loads of space, and all the creature comforts. But at the end of the day, I'm running a business, and I have to make money. That's why I buy Express.
We're Rocker Brothers.
Save dough at Rocker Brothers. Quality radial retreads $14.90 or 185/14 retreads $22.90. Brand new steel radials for most small cars $37.90. South Australian made Skyway steel radials $59.90. Skyway with high speed rating for Falcon, Commodore, Valiant, Pintara and Skyline just $69.90.
We're saving dough at Rocker Brothers.
Dig 'em, dig 'em. Whoa, I love Kellogg's Honey Smacks. With 4 vitamins and iron. Uh-oh. Puffed whole wheat smacked with honey. Meow. Dig this. Bye-bye, kitty.
Kellogg's Honey Smacks, part of this complete breakfast.
I love my smacks.
Mr. Muscle loves the jobs that you hate. Mr. Muscle loves the jobs that you hate.
Get some extra muscle around the house.
Loves the jobs you hate.
If you think Dick Johnson's been under pressure out there today, just imagine what sort of pressure his engine oil's been under.
You're not wrong, Barry. It's a great little drop, this. But it's got to be good. It's got shell on. Oh, come on, guys. You're going to be kidding. That's terrible. You can stop the jiggling, guys. Nobody's going to believe that I'm driving this thing. That's terrible.
They're never going to believe that.
I've got a better idea.
I reckon he'd look really good on a motorbike himself.
All right.
You're back at the Tooheys 1000 at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Coming down to Forest Elbow, car number 41, the Daily Planet machine. Up to 9th now in the race.
Yeah, terrific performance, actually. You consider the guys behind this vehicle, primarily Andrew Harris, been away from motorsport for about 5 years. Ran the race here, or going back to the mid-80s a couple of times. Gave away motorsport, was then involved in a horrific light aircraft crash on King Island in Bass Strait, was badly smashed up and badly burned. Has made a good recovery and has decided to make a comeback, partnering Gary Cook. But there are 3 drivers, in fact, involved in this car. John Trimble as well, the sponsor of the car, has had a stint out there today and acquitted himself not too badly, considering the absolutely atrocious conditions. So they've done a good job.
Well, up to 9th, that is a fabulous effort.
Well, Gary Cook knows what it's about here.
Well, of course, Gary's an old campaigner here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. And they had 2 cars entered. They were always considering dropping 1 car, using one as a training car. Well, they had to drop it after Friday when they gave it the barbecues galore treatment. John Trimble. But, no, he's done a great job. Harris, Cook and Trimble in the Daily Planet car, and Larry Perkins' machine. And it heads up Mountain Straight.
Their slogan, of course, at the Daily Planet is, the Daily Planet always moves at your pace.
Thank you, Doug.
And it's a fairly fast pace today. They also have a wonderful jukebox, I believe.
Right.
That's what you said, wasn't it, Will Goodrich? Yes.
Coming up to the top of the mountain. Johnson was making inroads at about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds a lap on Mark Scaife there for about 4 or 5 laps. In the meantime, we go back down to the pits for the changeover between Thomas Mazera. Let's go down to JB.
Yes, thanks very much, Mike. Mazera hopping in for Jones. It is a scheduled stop. Staying with the slick tyres again. They've had to stop on schedule. As I say, the weather closing in is probably going to make that a disadvantage. If this weather had decided to come in a little earlier, then they could mix that with their normal pit stop, but they're not going to have that luxury. So it is 24 seconds this time. By the look of the clouds overhead, they'll probably need another one for some intermediate or perhaps very wet weather tyres in about another 20 minutes.
Try chains, John, chains. We believe some hail up there as well. As we pick up on car number 13.
Here he is, the captain.
Yes, it wouldn't be Bathurst without Peter Jansen, partnering Bob Jones in this Ampol Max 3 entry.
They got the wrong Jones up there, although it was Bradley, but that's a nice wrap on Bob Jones and Captain Peter Jansen. Car 13, position number 20.
He's having a helmet made in the shape of a deerstalker cap, I believe, for next year's race.
Johnson again, hauls on down. Sponsored by Ampol, the Bob Jones car with Captain Peter Jansen. Good to see them getting behind this team, Privateers. Nicely turned out car. They were here for the media day. I think the captain, he must be in the veteran class, be enjoying his run.
He's had some great success here at the mountain over the years. People tend to smile when you say Captain Peter Jansen, but his name is in the records.
He's been a place getter here in the outright category, yes. And has been known to steal the show from the front-running cars right on the finish line with handbrake spins and all sorts of things.
The other good thing about Peter is you have to admire he doesn't drive all that often, doesn't race all that often. I think probably, you know, an occasional run here or there, and you come to Bathurst. We're talking about how serious Dick Johnson has been getting fit. Not quite sure if the captain's been on that same diet.
He's been working the elbow.
But he's done a great job, Bob Jones and the Ampol Max machine. And just ahead of him is Barry Graham or young Brian Callaghan heading to the top of the hill. The Everlast Commodore with Bill O'Brien. They're still in there, looking for a strong finish here today.
And that's the Hendricks entry, the Gem Spares car that we saw. It went off earlier, but they've managed to get it fixed up and back on again. And you can see the storm moving in. And I would say it's not too many minutes away now.
It's very narrow, that band of rain and hail, though, and it could bypass us. I mean, there's grey cloud everywhere, but we're just looking at a shaft of precipitation about 6 or 7 miles wide, and if that goes by us, I think the race will be a lot better for it.
It's hard not to get hit by a 6-mile wide sledgehammer, though, isn't it?
I'm worried about these guys. I'm a caring person, and I also have my car parked out the back.
And mine.
And yours.
Larry Perkins gives the captain a go-by as they head off the top of the hill and through Mazda Forest Elbow. Car 11, Larry Perkins, in 10th position still, and that's a remarkable effort when
considering the trouble they've had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still loves his motor racing. Pete Jansen talking to him during the week. Looks forward to it. Thinks Bathurst is a place you just can't avoid in October. There he comes up behind a couple of the slower cars, or the smaller cars, I should say. Study of concentration. So the 13 Ampol Max machine continues down on the inside here in a bit of a braking duel. Very, very tidy indeed. I guess you're all sitting at home saying, is that storm going to break? We hope it doesn't. Because if it does, I don't know what they're going to do here. The hail starts coming in. That's exactly what happened back at the last wet race we had here.
Well, they could always flag the race and declare a result. At least we've passed the 2/3 race distance.
Yes.
Well, we're talking Commodores here. Brock's engine sounding very flat. He just came past us pit straight, sounding very second-hand. He's had every other problem in the world today, Brocky. I'm sure he won't be surprised to hear that his engine's now going off song.
Nissan race cam, Jim Richards, Winfield Nissan #1, the race leader. By about a minute, they'll be coming in for a stop shortly. He's one of the few people at Mount Panorama that wouldn't mind if the storm did break. It would not concern him one whit. On the start-finish straight here at Mount Panorama, past Ken Matthews, Sierra, for about the 5th time. 20 laps remaining in the great race of 92. About 45 minutes or so, as long as the storm doesn't break and we don't get the pace car back again. Sounds of rolling thunder overhead.
I bet they're trying to keep that car out there. They'll be staying away from the pit. as long as they possibly can. There's now a curtain of rain moving right behind the mountain. Couldn't be more than a mile behind Skyline.
Let's check them out for you on the Caltex race score. The race leader is, of course, Jimmy Richards. Second spot held by Dickie Johnson and John Bowe. Third, Neil Crompton, Anders Olofsson. Fourth, Johnny Chicotto, Tony Longhurst. And fifth is 16, Win Percy and Alan Grice. Sixth spot, the Gibbs Onslow GIO Nissan GTR, followed by car number 55, Andrew Madecki and Troy Dunstan, the Mobil 1 Commodore. Eighth is 35, Wayne Parker, David Parsons and the Peter Jacksons here at night. Car number 41, Andrew Harris and Gary Cook and the Daily Planet Commodore. And 10th spot, number 11, Larry Perkins and Steve Harrington in the Bob Jane T-Mart's Commodore. Don't go away.
Tom Selleck, F. Murray Abraham.
We got the wrong house.
An innocent man.
They admitted to me that they framed Jimmy.
You know I'm innocent. I want to be with my husband.
Will he survive on the inside?
An insane place with insane rules. You're gonna be our kid. You've got to stand up. I just want my life back.
Can he reap revenge on the outside?
Long time no see.
What are you going to do?
Whatever it takes.
Coca-Cola presents Tom Selleck on a riveting quest for justice.
They shot me!
An Innocent Man, Monday.
My Hilux is unbreakable. It takes a full ton. In the back. And in the front. How's the price? Still low. The most powerful Hilux yet. Ow, what a feeling! Toyota!
Red Fox 1, you have clearance. 14 looks the other one. Come back.
You might think tires are pretty boring, but if you had to land a Harrier jet on an aircraft carrier 338 meters long, you might think differently about the tires you wear. Little wonder then why the U.S. Navy choose to fit Dunlop tires to their Harrier jets. So keep your family safe. Stick with Dunlop, the world's best road-holding tires.
Hey kids, looking for some school holiday fun? Then drop into Westfield Shopping Town's Carnival Capers. See the ice show spectacular at Arndale. See sheep dance and the plaster fun house at Marion. Meet Girlfriend on Thursday at Arndale and Marion and visit the Sharing Australia's Road Safely Expo at Tea Tree Plaza. To find out more, call the Carnival Capers hotline on 0055 25024. Ask permission before calling. Maximum charge $1.40.
Have a good day, Westfield Shopping.
At the new Nissan, we're committed to bringing Australian motorists world-class technology that's backed by warranties, service and assistance that are second to none. We won't settle for anything less, and neither should you.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama. To his 1000, the 30th anniversary of the great race. And this is the number 2 Nissan, Neil Crompton at the wheel after 144 laps. This car is in third position on the racetrack. The storm clouds have gathered overhead. It is as black as the ace of spades outside the window of our commentary position here, and there is a few spots of rain just starting to fall on the straight here. Now, if this storm breaks, all hell will break loose. Neil Crompton doing a great job here with Anders Olofsson in the second Nissan entry. Neil, of course, has long been part of our 7 commentary team, but jumped at the chance for a drive like this. Just 31 years of age, and has a terrific record for a guy who really, until just recently, has been a part-time driver. Has had a couple of starts here. Has had a 5th place finish in the 12-hour race, a 5th place finish in the 1990 Tooheys 1000, and 3rd in the 92 Australian Drivers' Championship.
What we don't see on those stats, Gary, is a reference to Neil's success on motorbikes as a kid, too. He's been a petrol head since he was able to walk, really. His father had him racing trail bikes in the country when he was a lad, and he was very successful. In fact, won an Australian championship, as I recall.
That's right, won a junior, as I recall.
Just looking along the pit lane out our window, and all the teams have got full wet tyres lined up.
Well, here comes Crompton beneath the Subaru bridge, heading down to Caltex Chase.
This is a real bind for the team bosses, isn't it? I mean, Crompton must be due for a pit stop right now. And they take him in now. What tyres do they put on? This band of rain is pretty narrow. If it goes past and they put wets on, he's in all sorts of trouble. You couldn't put wets on in these conditions. We'll find out what they're going to do.
So the danger now, they'll probably service the number 2 car, Neil Crompton.
And use it as an experimental vehicle.
Could do, put Anders Olofsson in the car, who's probably a lot more experienced with wet weather racing, or they may leave Neil in the car. We'll wait and see that.
We'll soon find out. Mark Ostler is on the spot.
Thanks very much, Gary Wilkinson. Yes, Neil Crompton comes in. He's not getting out of the car. And the Nissan crew have been all sorts of consternation discussing with the Yokohama tyre engineers exactly what tyre to put on this car. It's just started to rain quite heavily in pit lane, and they're putting on full wet weather tyres for the run to the finish. 143 laps, but of course, if the weather changes and it gets dry, Crompton's going to be back in again. This could be a fascinating finish to the 2 1000. Freddie Gibson holding on to him. I've got the clock on 25 seconds. The car off the air jacks. Crompton mobile in 28 seconds. Very slick stop from the Nissan crew.
Yeah, fabulous stop. Now, anything that Dick Johnson had going for him, making inroads on Jimmy Richards, has now disappeared. With the arrival of the rain, they're all out there on slicks. There's going to be a mad charge through the pits here. There's no point staying out there. It's going to hang around this bad weather.
There it is.
There's Mark Gibbs going through in the GIO car. The idea now is to just ease it out and bring them on down into the pits. No heroic stuffs on Subaru straight. You can see the guys have backed them all off, and here comes the charge into the pits. 55, Andrew Madecki is in. He's ready for a full set of wets.
Car 28, Kevin Waldock in the pits, same thing. Here comes Dick Johnson. It's a procession. There'll be nobody left on the racetrack.
You won't be able to hear for whistle blowing.
I know the roughest ride up there must be our helicopter cameraman and our pilots tracking race cam and bringing the pictures. It is filthy outside. Here's Johnson in. Keep in mind, Dick said he's got the headlights covered up with shell decals. Looks like a regulation stop down here. Just a set of wets coming on.
Andy Raymond is there.
Yes, a full set of wets going on. John Bow is actually going to jump into the car. He's not doing that. The team very concerned about time. Team manager Ross Stone is really giving the boys a lot of hurry up here. As I said, the full wets are on as the Perth Gricey car goes out, and Johnson is just about ready. Now he's going down from the hoist, and Dickie Johnson's back in action.
Gibbs Onslow car goes as well. There's going to be a man charge out of pit lane. Pace car, I think, is going to come out as well. Make sure that cars don't stay out there, because you can see what's happened up there. The
76 it is. One of the Corolla, the 1600cc cars, Calvin Gardner, Jeff Forshaw, Mike Conway. I couldn't quite see which of them was in the car, but he's out, he's okay. We can see that much.
Well, he's just okay.
Oh,
no, Jimmy Richards has hit the wall.
Well, Richo, of course, stuck on slicks and no traction at all, even for a four-wheel drive Nissan.
Well, here's Crompton's chance to be the ultimate hero.
That car is not going anywhere else but the pits this afternoon. The rain is now hitting the commentary booth so hard, you can hear it.
I would expect we might see a red flag. I can see them stopping this race.
Yeah. They must stop the race.
This is it. This will be the end. The red flag will be out before we finish our next sentence, I would say.
Well, now, if that happens, what they usually do is backdate the race by a lap or so, which could well see Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife still taking victory.
Listen to the crowd. The top of the hill. This is the kind of send-off, and I don't want to...
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I don't want to be unkind to Winfield and the Nissan team, but the punters at the top of the hill, this is the kind of send-off they wanted to see for the Nissans.
Well, the Nissan's got in. Jim went in gingerly, but he was trying to wipe off speed. Fred Gibson
If they don't stop the race, there won't be any cars left to complete it anyway.
Oh, it stopped. I mean, you know, I mean, officially maybe not, but this is it. This is the end of it. There's no doubt about that. 144 laps gone, and we will not see 145. I mean, I can't believe that we will. Red flag is out.
Oh no! Just get out of that. Marshall will get hit if he doesn't get over the fence.
Red flag is out. The race is over in more ways than one for a lot of these competitors. Well, what in particular for Fred Gibson, Jim Richards, Mark Skate, what a dreadful end to what had been a brilliant campaign for them here at Mount Panorama in the last hurrah for these Nissan GTRs.
I tell you what, the Nissans have hardly had any paint scratched on them since they've been racing.
The Daily Planet car involved in that, and two of the 1600cc Corollas. The Bates car is one of them. Car 70, I can't see the number on the other. Car 39, 71, is it?
Car 71.
Yeah, so it was the class leader.
And the Bates car was second in the class.
Yeah.
So that's first and second in the class, both into the wall, along with the overall race leader.
The indications are, as Richard Hay pointed out a moment ago, Richards and Scaife, if they've called the race, which they have, may still be declared the winners. They will still be declared the winners. That's as we understand it at this stage. The red flag, as you can see, is out. The race is not just stopped, the race is over.
This result, when they announce it, is going to be the most controversial race result in the history
of the race.
Of
now,
the
this marshal down here, providing all the cars have stopped, is not the place to be running down the track. And Mark Skaife explaining exactly what happened, what he saw on the screen. So in the Winfield Nissan pits, they're investigating and trying to count back the laps. We'll wait on the club.
Oh, the marshal's just fallen over in the wet. Not only are the cars losing traction, so are the marshals. He just went A over D down the grass verge.
Unfortunately, the pace car is out. That was what was concerning me. The marshals, a couple of them running down on the grass. So if you get off there, the driver's got no chance whatsoever of stopping with slicks on. These are some of the cars that pitted and went back out. And the strange thing is, it's clearing. Now, here's some action replay. The Everlast Commodore, which just didn't.
18 Shell car was involved in it, but got going again.
Then came Andrew Harris, was hooked there by the Corolla.
The Bates twins.
It's the Daily Planet car, I think.
Yes, the Daily Planet car.
The 18 car went down, and you can see that if it was young Callahan or Barry Graham,
he's out of there.
Now,
this was a separate incident.
Jimmy Richards finds he's now aquaplaning. The left front is doing nothing as he just comes through here. There's a kink to the left. He turns the wheel, but that breaks the back end of the car away. He's got the lights on, the brakes on, clips the back of a tail first. He can't wipe off any speed, and there he goes into the Daily Planet car, and the Planet car goes into the Corolla that's parked down there on the wall. Well,
there is pandemonium at Panorama just for the moment, but be assured the race is finished, the race is over. The field has been red flagged after 144 laps of a scheduled 161, and in a matter of moments, absolute mayhem broke loose here. Foodtown Commodore car, Terry Finnegan, number 27. Yet another slide we see in replay on another part of the circuit up at the top of the mountain up near McPhillamy. And he was fortunate in that the only thing in his way was the wall, not another competitor. So he sustained some damage, but is otherwise out of harm's way. Dick Johnson, relatively unscathed. Arm raised. Now, I don't know whether his arm is raised in what he thinks might be victory, but the indications that we've been given is that the number one Nissan will still be declared the race winner.
Well, if the race is red flagged, normally what the drivers would do is come around and stop on the grid, so that may well be why he raised his arm to let the guys behind know that he was stopping, but the pace car carried on, so they've now all set off after it again.
There's another incident coming up for you that we captured.
Oh, this is Jimmy Richards, is it?
Replay.
This is the Richards incident.
What happened?
It's a car that's got loose, and it's the Johnson car. And Jim, no.
He's cleared that. That's Crompton, is it?
I think
it
so.
could have been, yeah, from the back. So some harrowing moments for the drivers out there. That storm has gone through, but they've hung the red flag. There's the storm moving away from Bathurst now. And the cars are returning, so the race is definitely over. If they go back to the last recorded lap, that'll still give the win to Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife. But at this stage, we're trying to investigate, because pit stops are on at that stage, whether or not Dick Johnson finishes second or Neil Crompton finishes second. But there's the rest of the vehicles returning to the pit area. So the officials, the clerk, of course, Tim Schenken, has decided that is enough. And depending on, for the spectators here, who they support, we could have a very, very vocal presentation ceremony coming up a little later on. But there's the carnage coming out of Forest Elbow. John Brady with Ivan Stibbard hopefully will clear the air.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike. Ivan, red flag, it is all over, Red Rover?
All over, yes, unfortunately, but as you can see now, the weather's clearing up, but it's too late, it's all over, so we've declared it, and the timekeepers are now working out the final result.
Not afraid that you may have jumped a little early?
No, not if you saw what was happening there with some of those cars. It was a bit dangerous, and unfortunately some of them don't heed the caution flags, and you only need one or two to do that, and that's what caused that problem.
OK, the $64 question, who is the winner?
I would say car one. The race has got to be declared at the last full lap before the red flag went out, and he was still leading at that stage.
How close was he to the next full lap at the time?
Not sure until we get to the timekeepers on that, but he had a full lap up on him on the other cars, so that should be OK.
So that'll leave him out. The number 2 car's still clear as well?
I think so, until we work out what's happened there exactly. I think the results are much as they were the lap before.
Frustrating end to a 30th anniversary.
Frustrating, yes, but this is shades of 87 all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, but I suppose at least we've got the Fords and the Holdens back. Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Jimmy Richards has returned to the pit lane, explaining what happened. Let's go to Mark.
Jim? Yeah, we'll get Jim just in a minute. He's just got out of the car, fairly shaken, I'm sure. Just put the jacket on. He's probably a bit cold from standing up on the mountain there too. Jim, what happened up there?
I just came around the corner and had no grip whatsoever, going about 2 miles an hour, and it hit the bank just out of the cutting. So I just put it in low gear and just went very, very slowly around the track at about 1 mile an hour, come out of the Forest Elbow, and the car just, as if it accelerated without me putting my foot on the accelerator, and it just went out of control down where the other cars were and hit them. And then the little Corolla did the same thing behind me.
You're obviously okay. The conditions out there, I guess they were worse than they were this morning because there's probably a lot more oil down.
Well, the conditions was wet and we were on slick tyres. That's what the problem was.
Well, Ivan Stibbard has just awarded the race to the number 1 car. You must be pleased with that, even after the crash.
Fantastic. I can't believe it.
Well done, Jimmy Richards. And the crew celebrating here, Mark Scaife and Jim Richards. They've done it again. Very difficult circumstances. They ground away. Expert pit work kept the car on the island except for the last lap, but they were leading when the race was called. And here's our winners, Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards. Well done. Listen, 1-2. The big winners here today.
You get the impression out of that, Mark, that Jim didn't expect to win.
No. One never expects to win in a car with no wheels.
But they've driven marvellously all day, Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards. Jim walks back out of the pits. Freddie Gibson, I don't think they can believe it. I can't believe it, he said.
Well predicted Nostradamus.
He should have gone and spoken to Ivan Stibbard. He was absolutely confident.
Well, it's a rule I guess not a lot of people are familiar with because this unfortunate turn of events doesn't come up very often around the world.
No, you don't get a dry, wet or a wet, dry Bathurst, and that's happened today. And I think Fred at this stage explaining to Freddie Gibson, he was sorry, took the front out of the car, but there was nothing he could do about it. I noticed Leon Daphne down there from Nissan. He's delighted for the swan song of the GTR at Mount Panorama. Let's go down to AJ with Tony Longhurst.
Obviously, you want to keep on going.
well, our car was still in one piece, but I can't see how the Nissans won the race. The rules state quite clearly the cars must get back to Parc Ferme. Now, it's stuck out on the circuit, so as far as I understand the rules, the car's not finished.
So what we're saying, we're going to hear a little bit more about this in the protest room, perhaps?
Oh, I don't think we'll protest, but the organisers, they make up the rules. It says the cars must make it to Parc Ferme. Well, their car is not in Parc Ferme.
I guess it's a long year for an ending like this for a B&H team. 4th place, only 1 out of the 3.
No, it's a very hard. It's been a very hard day for us, and it's just disappointing. But again, I don't think the Nissans won. I think Dick's won the race.
Oh, thank you, AJ, and thank you, Tony Longhurst.
Actually, that's not right. What Tony's saying, I think, is incorrect. It was just pointed out to me, Nigel, one of our aficionados, just pointed out to me that Emerson Fittipaldi actually won the British Grand Prix in 1975, I think it was, while his car was a smoking wreck beside the track. So there are precedents for today's result.
Well, we might be able to investigate that between Johnny Brady and Mark Osler over in the pits. But good luck, Jimmy's wife, Leon Daphne from Nissan. They were anything but happy about coming to Mount Panorama as the sun comes out now. I guess a word with Dick Johnson to see whether Dick believed the race should have been stopped, and his answer may well have been no. But they're headed down to Victory Lane. We'll have the presentation coming up shortly. But Jim, what a day for him as they make their way to the Toohey Centre. Now, this is as we understand it. These are unofficial at this stage, to be confirmed on the Caltex race score. Jim Richards, Mark Scaife and the Winfield Nissan GTR winning the 1992 edition Tooheys 1000 over Dick Johnson and John Bowe. Neil Crompton and Anders Olofsson finishing in 3rd. Longhurst and Chicotto in 4th. And Wyn Percy and Alan Grice in 5th spot. We'll clear that out for you when we return.
It's McDonald's Funny Fry Friends with Tracker, Roll and Rocker, Too Tall and Snoozy. Swap their hats, swap their shoes, swap them all. There's lots to choose. A different one to collect each week for 95 cents each with any burger or muffin purchase. But hurry down to McDonald's. They won't be here for long.
French fries, French fries, French fries, French fries. It's snack time now at McDonald's.
When it comes to racing, Bathurst is pretty fast. And Formula One is even faster. That's why we use motor racing as one of the testing grounds for our oils. Because to be lubrication specialists, you have to be in the fast lane.
Look at this. Last in a bag of old nails. If you've got metal surfaces, do yourself a favour and hit them with Wattle Kill Rust. You see, the Kill Rust system lasts more than twice as long as your average one-coat anti-rust. So when the job's done, it's done. And to top it off, there's a Butte range of decorator and heritage colours. Wattle Kill Rust. It kills rust no matter where you live. What'll they think of next?
Behind the wheel of the spacious new Holden Statesman, one will experience a sense of tranquility unlike any other. The refined V8 engine is so quiet, you'd hardly know it was there, whilst independent rear suspension and optional ABS braking provide the car with an effortless grace that it is safe as it is smooth. All this makes the new Holden Statesman everything a luxury car should be.
We are back at Mount Panorama Bathurst. You've been watching the Tooheys 1000. And Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife will be in Victory Lane shortly. We have a rainbow out. We have the sun out now. But one must really support the officials. I mean, we had the track block, which meant that the pace car was going to come out anyway. Would have taken for ages. However, a very spectacular finish to today's race. There's the 76 car being loaded on the tilt tray truck to be taken back. Looks like the Bob Jones Peter Jansen car is also receiving attention there at the top of the mountain beneath the Tooheys Bridge after a superb drive from Bob and Peter Jansen today. And here is where it all went wrong, on the Exeter Forest elbow. The Toyota is wedged in there. We have the GTR Nissan, the Winfield entry. I think the Barry Graham Everlast car, sharing with Bill O'Brien and Brian Callahan.
There's a bit of a panic on in the middle of all that, Mike.
There certainly is. There's Andrew Harrison, the Daily Planet Commodore, that was positioned as high as 9th today in the field.
71 there is the Toyota Corolla, which, depending on exactly when the race is stopped and so on, may have won the baby class as well.
Yes, the placings that we give you are obviously going to be provisional in the other classes. And I guess there's the new Spec 93 class.
Well, I think
Win Percy.
Win Percy and Alan Grice will have won that, because I'm fairly sure they were still actually running, so they would have crossed the line. They'd be in Parc Ferme, and there wouldn't be too many arguments about them winning that class, would there?
Well, I don't really know. I'm going to leave it to the people who do what they do so well, the lap scorers. Both the computer people and people like Nigel Greenway, who...
That's an intelligent decision. Discretion is definitely the better part of valour. I've just seen 300 people with Ford flags go past our commentary position.
Where do you think they're going?
I think they're going down to the podium, and I think Wilco will probably do his most difficult work today in a matter of moments.
Well, there's the scene. They're coming out of the grandstands. They're all wet. They've been standing here in the rain all day. There's a huge crowd on top of the mountain. But this is the assembly point for all the fans. That's beneath the Tooheys Bridge, just in front of the centre, where the presentations take place. They're waiting. I'm just looking to see if I can find the Nissan flags out there.
The natives are restless.
Just a little. And here are the fans along Pitt Straight. And the ones up on the hill, they're shell-shocked as well.
I hope Wilco's wearing his can-proof vest.
They're stunned, the spectators. They just can't believe this. But we see some Ford flags down there, and they're down out the front of the centre.
We're all stunned, I think. I'm feeling fairly shell-shocked, I'm prepared to tell you.
Really, after a performance like that today, it would be rotten like to take the win away from Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards. Let's go down to the presentation ceremony. It's going to be a very noisy but a beauty. Wilco.
Thank you very much, Mike Raymond. And here we are at the Tooheys Centre for the official presentations following this foreshortened race for 1992. And the crowd are really getting worked up, and I know why they are. We'll get to that very shortly. But first of all, we've got the 1600cc class winners, Scotty and Jason Bargwanner in their Toyota Corolla. And here they come. A fantastic effort. Just keep talking and ignore this noise. The 1600cc class winners. It was a big effort. The competition between yourself, Peter Verheyen, and the other cars in the class was very, very close. The Bates boys, you swapped positions all day.
Yeah, Scott's still at the top of the mountain. He's involved in that crash. We don't know where he is at the moment. He's trying to get up here now. We've just got to thank John Smith for letting us have the car. Mercantile Mutual, Brake Pro, and Mintool AWS. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks to all the ugly children that helped us as well. Thanks, boys.
Jason Bargwanner. Jason Bargwanner in partnership with his cousin Scotty, who unfortunately is still stuck at the top of the mountain and can't get here. They were the 1600cc class winners. Well, third place outright in the great race for 1982 went to the number 2 Winfield Nissan, Neil Crompton and Anders Olofsson. Crompton, come in here. This will be easy stuff for you. You know how to talk over these guys, mate.
Yeah.
it was a hell of a race. It's a shame it had to finish when it did and the way it did.
Yes, it's very disappointing, Gary, that it's been such a tragic day. I personally feel very bad for what happened with Denny early on. It really rocked my socks early on, and you know, it's been a fairly ordinary race one way or another. It's not been a good day for motorsport, but I'd like to thank the Winfield Nissan team for giving me the opportunity to be up here today, and Anders did a huge job, and I mean, we tried our hearts out. I know this mob don't like it, but tough.
Neil Crompton and Anders Olofsson, third outright in the Tooheys 1000 for 1992. Now, they keep saying, Anders, we can get you in here briefly.
Yeah.
This is a different kind of experience to what you're used to in motorsport in Europe.
Yeah, but I like it anyway. I think it's nice with all the fans looking for their heroes in the other kind of cars, and I don't mind if they cheer them up a lot. It gives us a good feeling as well. The situation is not too bad.
Congratulations on a wonderful effort.
Thank you very much.
Anders Olofsson and Neil Crompton. And now, the second place getters outright in the number 17, Shell Sierra, Dick Johnson and John Bowe.
Well, look, I don't know where the hell we are, but I really don't.
There seems to be some confusion about that.
Well, I suppose there would be, look, I really, you know, it's just one of those races. It's been up and down all day, hasn't it?
What was your interpretation of events at the finish? Did you think you were third, second, first, 15th?
Well, after I passed Jim up the hill, I thought, well, we've got to be number one, surely. But obviously, you can be beaten by a crash car.
Well, they claim that the result is declared on the placings at the end of the lap preceding the red flag, and that Jim was in front at that point.
I can't understand why they red flagged it, but that's the official's decision, and I'll just have to go by it, won't I?
Well, it's a bit of disappointment, but the fans are still here in support, and next year, of course, things change. We're saying goodbye to the turbos, and I know you'll be back campaigning harder than ever.
Well, we'll just have to come back next year and win it in the Falcon.
Johnny Bowe, briefly. Conditions, as you said. The whole of Tasmania must be here.
Must be. I'd like to congratulate our guys that did a fantastic job on the car. It's the best race car I've ever driven. It didn't miss a beat all day, and if we came second, well, we came second. But in my mind, we won.
Congratulations on a job well done. If the result might have been a bit disappointing, there's always next year. Dick Johnson and John Bowe, second place getters outright for Shell Sierra in 1992. And now, the winners of the great race for the second year running, Mark Scaife and Jim Richards. Well, it's a slightly hostile reception. A slightly hostile reception, Mark, but you always knew that you were going to get that to some degree. But regardless, forgetting all of that, it was a triumph out there today because they were the most adverse conditions that you could possibly have experienced.
Well, it was, but like we led the race all day. I can't believe this, you know, like the Nissan car, Winfield, we won the race. That's how it is.
Jim? Conditions a little crowded here. Next year is another year, but the Nissan GTRs have been all-powerful for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
The regulations said they could run, and you took advantage of those conditions, and the car proved to be simply unconquerable.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. I'm just really stunned for words. I can't believe the reception. I thought Australian race fans had a lot more to go than this. This is bloody disgraceful. I'll keep racing, but I tell you what, this is going to remain with me for a long time. You're a pack of arseholes.
Well, bitter words, and in some ways understandable from Jim Richards, because these guys put a lot of effort and a lot of money, a lot of blood, sweat and tears.